All right, ladies. We had the music on. Sorry about that. All right, so we are live. Sorry for our tardiness. We had a little technical difficulties, but of course, tech be teching. Y'all already know tech be teching. So, let's get into it. I'm gonna change our layout here a little bit. Let's get into it. For those of you who are new to the Cultivated Corner over here at Cultivated Connections, my name is Tangeray Porter, and I'm the Chief Vision Strategist at Cultivated Connect. Y'all already know that. Anyway, she's vision strategist of this lovely space over here, where we cultivate healing, education, and social awareness through the arts. And I have two amazing queens on here with me who I love dearly and have learned so much about. As y'all know, y'all been hanging with us. We have been rocking it out with the Mental Matters live series, where we're talking about mental health, creativity, health and wellness, mental health strategies. Like, I hope y'all been learning something these next few Sundays because we've been getting into it. So I want to introduce my lovely sisters in education over here, Miss Erica Moore and Miss Setara Throw. Ladies, welcome to the space.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. So my first question I'm going to ask is, who are you and who do you serve?
Mm.
It doesn't matter who go first.
Take it away, Miss Erica.
Well, I appreciate it. I was going to throw it to you. All right. Hello. Hello. I just want to say thank you so much for having me today so that I could talk about just my experiences with mental health and how it relates to healthy eating. My name is Erica Moore, and I am the founder and CEO of Who Spilled the Veggies Co. And what we have personally is a mission for me, but the mission of Who Spilled the Veggies is to connect healthy families and kids to healthier options. So in terms of food, whether that is what you're eating and nutrition or that is your lifestyle, that is our sole mission. And if we can do that, if we can add a little bit more veggies to your life, if we can add in a little bit more fruits to your life and your diet and regimen, we want to do so.
Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. So I am so excited to be sharing this space with these two lovely women this evening. And I am Setara Throw. I am the CEO and founder of the Rising Lotus Coaching Services LLC. And I am an entrepreneur. So I'm an educator and I'm an entrepreneur. And I am all about health and wellness, mental health and wellness. And what I do is I spend a lot of time helping women, specifically educators and entrepreneurs, just finding their way back to the top of their wellness list. What I found is that for most of us, especially myself, I'm always doing for others before I do for
Mhm.
myself. Myself becomes an afterthought. So I really work with women to put themselves first. So I do a lot of self first care. I said self first care, so that we are in a position to actually do what we need to do for others, being able to give our best self, our best version of ourselves. But you can't do that if you're not taking care of yourself. So just like Miss Erica said, I am always looking at four key pillars in what I do with the ladies that I speak to: nutrition, hydration, movement, and sleep, because we don't sleep enough. And that's what I do.
Yes, well, thank y'all for spilling the tea and the veggies. Because what attracted me to you beautiful ladies, one, I've had a pleasure to see you do the work that you do in a variety of ways. Like Miss Erica, I've had the pleasure to work with you for the past 12 weeks, doing another beautiful service that regards to mental health. But just getting to know you and getting to talk to you and just feeling your energy has just filled my cup. And
Thank
I'm
you.
running over, honey. And same with you, Mr. Tara. Like, we've met at a beautiful event that I was actually hosting. I was like, "Who is this beautiful lady here?" And as soon as you told me your mission for your business, I was like, "Uh-huh. Let me go ahead and put her on the docket as well to, continue to build a budding relationship with you. Just because you know exactly what it is that us educators go through because you've done the work yourself. So if you don't mind, allow me to dig into the past a little bit of what made you create this platform for your businesses, and what prompted you to do this work?
Wow. Well, I don't mind starting first. Like I said, I am an educator. What I tell people is once an educator, always an educator. I've been teaching for 27 years. Just recently gifted my job back to the school district I used to work for. But when I tell you I loved every minute of it, but what I found was about the last 6 to 7 years, it was just something was missing. So I felt like I was losing my passion, my purpose. And when I look, can I keep it real? I'm just going to tell y'all, it got to the point where I would sit in my car on the parking lot and I would just cry. I
Mm,
mean, boohoo, ugly cry. And we're supposed to be in the building, ready to receive the children by 7:45. So I found myself those last 6 to 7 years, I wasn't there early. I was rushing in right at 7:45, greeting the children and the parents as they're coming in, and I knew something was missing.
mhm,
And at that time, I was like, I'm good, I'm okay. It's nothing wrong with me. I got this. But now, fast forward, what I realized was I wasn't in a great mental space.
mm,
It wasn't that I didn't love what I was doing, but I had lost the love for it because
mm,
I was overwhelmed. It was just so many moving pieces that I hadn't connected. And I will say that a higher source just recently said, no, you got to move. You got to move, higher than me. And I didn't want to let go, but I had to because my mental health, my emotional well being, even my social well being, it was suffering. And I wasn't good for my students. I wasn't good for the families I serve. I wasn't even good for my own family. So I
mm,
had to do some soul searching, which birthed. I had been carrying this baby of mine, this Rising Lotus coaching services, for a long time. This was my baby, but it was something missing in me that I had to go through so I
mm,
could get to the point where I could be of service to other women, educators, and entrepreneurs. But I had to accept the fact that I wasn't in a well space. Um, and that was scary. I don't know if anybody else has ever felt that way, but that was scary for me to know I am not in a well space. But I thank God that I was able to go through all of that stuff because now, because of my experience, life experiences, educational experiences, all the other experiences, I'm able to do the work and support other women through this journey, this process, this 27-year long journey that I went through as an educator, and recognizing the last couple of years I was not well. And I
mm,
can say that now with so much release when
mm.
before I was wearing a mask. So I
Mm.
don't know if that makes sense, but that's where I was.
Definitely makes sense. Go ahead, Miss Erica.
Well, I have dabbled in the education space through a variety of different industries. My background is in interior design and sustainability, and that, of course, led me in and out of the classroom. You talked about well space, so ironically, I am a well space consultant. So, from a holistic standpoint, um, you talk about organics. This was something that happened when I was a child. My inspiration for this business, it came about because I experienced heartache after heartache. I don't know if you all can raise your hand, or if it resonates with you, because you've had family members that have passed away because of
Yes.
matters of the heart. Is why I'm
Yes.
inspired to do this.
Mhm.
Frankly, we just don't eat healthy. We had chronic diseases in our family that ran rampant, and I was inspired once I had a child. I was fairly healthy. I was an athlete in both in high school and college. Post secondary education, post collegiate education, I was active, but I never really was as healthy as I could be. And
Mhm.
I vowed to myself that I wanted to make sure that after I went to go see a specialist who advised me to make changes with my diet, that I needed to make a change, not only for myself, but the health of my daughter at the time, and then my husband. So my family, my friends, I took a charge at that point to make sure that
Mhm.
even though I couldn't help the family members that had passed on or who were living with cancer and high blood pressure and
Mhm.
diabetes and so forth, I was going to do something for the generations to come, and leave a legacy that way. I transitioned and I spoke about a little bit about holistic and well space consulting. Well, being in the education sector allowed me to go into the classroom. I told you that I was inspired because I had a young child at the time. Well, I decided to start teaching classes about what does healthy nutrition and healthy living look like for these students?
Mhm.
What does healthy eating look like for these students? So it allowed me to not only talk to their students, but if you start a pattern in the classroom, they can take it home to their parents.
Yeah.
And with the educators, with the teachers and the staff members, if they're witnessing the classes and the information from the education piece, they're actually taking that home with their families as well. So that is what inspired me. I have come a long way. We've been through multiple operational changes and name changes, but we talked about higher power, and I firmly believe that it was a divine calling. That now it aligns the name. Excuse me, the name of it aligns better with the vision, the initial vision.
Woo! See, audience out there, y'all see why I got these ladies on here today? Because I just got my whole life just from hearing y'all's story of like what inspires you and to hear this act of advocacy for just healthy living as a female, healthy living as a black female, because it's all layered, right? Healthy
Yes.
living as an educator, no matter what the educational sector looks like, because as women first, black women, well, let's switch that. Black women, then a woman, then an educator, like we're conditioned to put ourselves last. We
Right.
don't realize that we do that, but we do it because it's just in our nature to serve, 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 serve. And then we've served everything to the point where we don't have anything left. So I
Right.
just love the fact that both of you ladies have taken the charge to create something to benefit not just yourself, but the world to come, especially hearing the fact that it's children and women. Sorry, man. We love y'all. We're not excluding y'all. Come on over. Come on over because you can learn something too. But there's not a lot of spaces that are built by Black women in this realm and talking about this particular thing who happen to be educators. Like you got the health gurus, which is nothing wrong with that. Hey, baby, live your life, live your dream, but it's different when it's coming from a community that already suffers from so much neglect and lack
Mhm.
of self-care and lack of knowledge. So I'm excited to be here with y'all. So give me
Yeah.
one second. Let's read the comments. So Miss Jamila said, I was sitting in the car my first year contemplating, do I want to go into the school building? Girl. So to address that, for me, it wasn't my first year. For me, it was, I've been in the game 10 years. I would say it was year 5 for me,
Yep.
where I sat in the car daily and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's not the kids. So for those of you who are watching and you're seeing this mass exodus of teachers, please know it's not the children.
It's not.
The
No.
children are the reason why we stay there as long as we do, with suffering mental health issues. The children and the families most of the time. That's why we do
Yeah.
what we do. But it's hard to do what you do and want to do what you do when there's so many politics and things that's hindering you from doing the things that you love to do. So, but that's a
Mhm.
conversation for another day because we got legislator all up in there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Conversation for another day. So I heard you ladies talk about well space. So I was jotting down notes. So you see me looking down. I'm getting some nuggets. I heard the word well space come up. What does that mean for you as a black woman educator, black entrepreneur? What does that mean for you first in creating well space for you first? And then what does that mean for the community that you serve?
Mhm. So I'll say for me, a well space is that space. I see it as like a bubble that I create around me. And I don't let anything penetrate that disturbs my peace. I know a lot of people say, don't disturb my peace, my passion, my profit. And sometimes it seems cliche to say it, but in actuality, it's real. Because if you let things penetrate your well space, it knocks you off everything you're trying to do. So for me, I really had to think about creating boundaries
Mm,
because my nature is to help everybody
mm,
run and do everything, put on that cape
Right.
and save everybody. But
Mhm.
what I realized in those last few years, especially during the C time, COVID, especially
Ooh.
when that time, I really had to take time to really rebuild my bubble.
Mhm.
Because as Erica alluded to, there were so many of my family members that were passing away. A lot of it was because of they were stressed out, not eating well. They could not bounce back from these diseases and this dis-ease in their body, and they hadn't created well spaces. They had not created a well space. They had not created boundaries. So for me, that's what I had to do. So the part of creating a well space for myself looked like that. My
Mhm.
safe space, my bubble, not letting people penetrate that. Now, for the communities that I serve, working
Mhm.
with women in education, specifically those women entrepreneurs and educators,
Mhm.
what I realized the reason why I can speak to that as an educator is because I didn't feel like there was a well space. Now, this does not represent the district I worked for. This is me speaking solely about my experience, and others may not experience this. But for me, I felt like I could not go and say, I'm not feeling well.
Mhm.
Not like I'm physically sick, but I don't feel well. Like my mental health, my mental well-being. We talk a lot about social emotional for the children,
Mhm.
but when I tell you the social emotional piece was lacking so much for us as educators, which is why now I focus on self first, SEL, social emotional learning first for the educator. Because what I realized was I wasn't an educator that was well, I
Mhm.
wasn't engaging well with others. I wasn't engaging well with my colleagues, my admin, my students, the families I served, any of the educational stakeholders. I didn't feel like I was giving the best of me. So creating that well space for an educator to advocate for self first care to say, what about me? Because if an educator is well, they can engage well with others. If an entrepreneur is well, she can run her business well. She can serve the communities and carry out her mission, her passion, her vision well. So that's what a well space looks like for me and for those that I serve.
Mm. Girl, come on now. Come on, Miss Erica. Because, whoo, let me go get the collection plate at this point.
So I'm going to take it from I spoke a little bit about my background, educational. So my bachelor's is in interior design and sustainability. So when I talk about a well space, I'm talking about it from an environmental aspect. So a healthy space. What's the air like there? Okay, well, a lot of people they're experiencing breathing problems and upper respiratory issues. So you just talked about COVID. Some of the people that were hit the hardest were the people who were living with chronic diseases, upper respiratory issues. So you want to talk about the air quality. You want to talk about how is it functioning? How does it make you feel in the space? If you live in an environment where there's stress or it's toxic, then guess what? It's going to affect everything. It's going to affect your thinking. It's going to affect your mood, how you feel physically and mentally and emotionally. It may affect you physically as well because there are physical stresses that are there. Maybe you live in a disorganized space. So my inspiration and where I come from with well space is how does your environment look? Not just the environment out there, but what does the space look like that you inhabit? If it is a toxic environment, you have to remove yourself from it. If you have toxic people that are, like you said before, Setara, you alluded to this with your bubble. If there are people who are not respecting your boundaries, then of course your environment is compromised. So that's the area in which I come from with my will space.
Ooh,
Mm,
mm.
mm,
Ooh. See, I'm being ministered to today. Because I'll be honest, super transparent moment. Today was one of those days of like meltdown. I'll be honest for the people that was watching. I had a whole meltdown this morning. I'm thankful for a amazing husband who came in and was like, "You good?" I was like, "No, I'm not good." Even creating a well space for yourself, meaning
Yes.
it for me, I'm now at the point of being okay with saying I'm not okay.
Right.
yes.
And today I'm even more proud of myself every day when I can honestly say I'm not okay today.
Right.
or I'm not okay in this moment, but I will be okay in a minute.
Yes.
And giving ourselves time to feel whatever that feeling is, even if you don't know why you're feeling that way. Today was one of
Yes.
those days. I'm like, why am I crying? I don't know, but let's go
Mhm.
with it. Something needs to be released right now.
Right.
So let's
Yeah.
go with it. Um, and my husband said something to me today. He was like, "You've been on go, like you've been going nonstop. Stop. Just simply stop and do something that
Mhm.
you enjoy." And I was like, you know what? You right. So definitely, just hearing both of these two aspects of well space has even like knocked me in the head of like, girl, have you been protecting your well space, whatever that looks like,
Right.
whether it's my
Right.
physical.
Right.
Wait till the summer hits because I'm ready to get my office together because it ain't well. Yeah, yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. The life of an educator, you drop your bags and you sit down,
Yep.
right? Right. Even thinking about like boundaries. What would be some strategies? And we're gonna definitely get to the healthy eating part, but we are in this beautiful part of this conversation that like I think we just gotta roll with it for a minute. What are some strategies that you would even tell a person, especially a younger educator or a younger black woman? What would you tell a younger version of us, right? Um, how to keep their well space together? What would you tell them?
Mhm. Hmm. Wow. I think for me, I probably told my younger self to grant yourself some grace.
Ooh.
I think that we as women, we're like you said you are always on go. We are always on go. And we never grant ourselves the grace and the space to sit still and be okay with not doing something.
Mm,
Sometimes I feel like we're always feeling like we need to do something. And
mhm,
I think for me, I would have told my younger self, you don't have to be a part of every social event.
Mm.
It's okay to say no. I'm not going without making up an excuse. Oh, well, I got to do something for mom and them. No, I just don't feel like going this evening. I'm just not feeling social. For me, I've learned that I'm a select introvert. I select to be introverted. But now I am actually more extroverted than I thought I was, but I have to find myself turning off that social space of, oh, I got to be here, I got to be there. So I
mhm,
think for me, just telling my younger self, grant yourself some grace.
Mm.
mhm,
Stop looking to be perfect. I'm now striving for progression over perfection.
mhm,
Just learning those things, pouring into myself. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to pass it over to Miss Erica. You know how you hear people say, pour from your cup. You want to
mhm,
give people from your cup. I teach those people that I work with, my wellness clients. I say to them, no, I don't want you pouring from your cup, because if you're pouring from your cup, you have nothing left. So I teach
mhm,
them, pour from your saucer. I wish I told myself way back when, give from your saucer, because if I'm giving from my saucer, guess what? I'm in overflow.
Right.
I'm
mhm,
always in overflow. So whatever's in my saucer, I'm gonna pour into other people. What's in my cup? That's for me. And I've learned to be okay with saying, I'm sorry, I don't have enough in my saucer to give.
mhm,
Not yet. And being okay with not being able to give every time somebody needs something. That's something I didn't know way back when I was younger. I'm still young, y'all. Don't play. I'm still young.
yes,
But
ma'am.
way back when, I didn't have those skills. I didn't have the knowledge that I have now to say to myself then, grant yourself some space, pour from your saucer and not from your cup.
Mm, girl, come on now. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. 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 Okay. So I would have to say that if I had an opportunity to speak to my younger self, wait, so prioritizing the self care would definitely
Mhm.
be something that I would talk to my younger self about. And how would I do that? What does that look like? The process in which I do it would be more through journaling,
Mm,
writing things down. I've had so many ideas in my head, But to be able to write them down, you're getting all of the clutter, you're organizing, and my younger self would know, okay, when you organize your thoughts, this is a way of, I talked about well space. This is an opportunity for me to be well. So if I would have taken those aspects and like I said, taking those aspects when I was younger, now I wouldn't be learning from the mistakes that I have
Mhm,
experienced.
mhm, mhm.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
Can I
again,
add something to that?
yeah, go ahead.
Can I add something to that? When you mentioned journaling, it's something that I do. I journal, I write, I do a brain dump because at night, that's when you find everything's want to penetrate your mind, brain dumping. And another thing that I use is something called packing my bags. I
Mm,
pack my bags. In the morning, I pack my bags. And at night, I unpack my bags. And bag stands for the breath,
Mhm,
breathing. Sometimes I find myself holding my breath and I
mhm,
find my shoulders up, my
mm,
tongue at the roof of my mouth. And it's like, whoa. So I have to find my breath. The A is for my affirmations. We as women do not affirm ourselves enough.
mhm.
We
Yeah.
seek outside affirmation. I affirm myself. And then I give gratitude. I give gratitude for the morning. I give gratitude for the evening. And the S, I tell people that can stand for song. Sometimes you want to listen to your favorite song, that's something to make you feel good, or you want to sit in silence.
okay.
So it can be a song or it can be silence. So I tell myself and those I work with, did you pack your bag this morning before you left to go to work? When you
Mhm.
got home, did you unpack your bags? Because if you don't, you're carrying all the stuff from the day through the night to the next morning. So that's just one of the strategies I found myself using more alongside the journaling.
Awesome.
I'm about to. I just wrote that down. Okay, because I just started back journaling Friday. I hadn't written in my journal since December, and I was like, "Girl, not from going from a journaling every day to it's been
Mhm.
6 months, almost 6 months." So just put that back in my own personal repertoire. When I tell you this conversation is right on time. Wasn't expecting to be, but it is. So thank you for pouring some of your saucer juice onto me today. I know this is for everybody else, but when I tell you this conversation is so timely, oh my goodness. And
Mhm.
before we move on to the other part of our topic, it was a person that used to work with me. He was originally from Canada, and he said something that like struck me to my core one day. He said, "Y'all work too much in America," and I
Mm,
was like, "Tell me
oh,
more." He was like, "You all work nonstop," and he was a fellow educator as well. And the school day was, I think he said from 8 to 12:30, and the rest of the day they went home. So quite naturally, coming from Canada to America, that ain't how we run schools down here. But that hit me to my core of wow, we really do work a lot. A
mhm.
lot. We are constantly moving. And we saw that when COVID hit. 2020, the world stopped and it was like, okay, what do I do now? And I loved every bit of it. I'll be honest. It felt good to just stop. Oh my goodness. Now, do I want another pandemic? No, but if the world can just stop it just a little bit, slow down just a little bit again,
Yeah.
I'll be happy again, just for the slowdown, but not the sickness and all that mess. So my next question is we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but how has healthy eating supported your mental health? We kind of talked about the wellness aspect of it, but how has it supported your mental health, um your family's mental health, and whoever else that it is that you serve, but of course self first. How did it support it?
Mhm.
So, Satara, do you want to go first or you want me to go?
I'll let you go, Miss Erica. We'll go back and forth here.
All right. So, healthy eating, whoo, that is so loaded, right there, because I talked about I'm an athlete, a former athlete. So a lot of people think that you can work out as much as you want and eat whatever you want to. And that's definitely not the case. If you've heard anything, the theory about 80-20, meaning that you spend 20% in the gym or working out, however you see fit. And then the rest of that is your nutrition and how you eat. So you want to make sure that, I guess personally, I have had to make sure that I am focused on self care and eating well, because I have two, not just myself to care for, but I have a whole family to care for. I have two little beings and a husband that loves me dearly, with family as well, extended family. So I just want to make sure that I focus on, I don't always eat breakfast, but I always have to make sure that I'm eating, I'm putting back into my body. I'm refueling my body. You talk about pouring out or pouring into other people. There's a physical thing that happens when I have exhausted myself during all of that pouring. I have to make sure I get nourishment. And what does that look like? That means eating vegetables for breakfast. A lot of people, they don't eat vegetables for breakfast. Even if you eat a side of pancakes or you eat some oatmeal, or, get you a healthy cereal, you're going to add in some fruits and vegetables. But you try to make sure that even if you don't do that, I'm getting a smoothie or something, that I'm eating like I'm supposed to. Because again, I have people who depend on me, not just in the immediate space with my family, but I have the community that depends on me. If I'm not well, then how am I going to show someone else? How am I going to educate someone else? How am I going to serve someone else in helping them do so as well?
Wow. Yes. Oh my goodness. You hit the nail on the head, because I found myself rushing in and out, not eating breakfast. Sometimes when I was in the classroom, not eating lunch, even
Right.
though they say you got a duty-free 30-minute lunch, you really don't. So I found myself woofing things into my mouth at the end of the evening, because I felt like I was hungry, but I was in that, I guess, that starvation mode. And so I really had to think about mindful eating.
Right.
So for me, it's about mindful eating.
Right.
I know a lot of people say, well, you be eating cheat meals. No, I eat treat meals. So for me,
I
admission, I love me some Zaxby's French fries. Everybody who knows me knows I love some Zaxby's French fries, and put some of that extra seasoning on it, right? But for me to be mindful eating, I don't take away things from myself, but instead of going to Zaxby's and getting double fries, I don't do that anymore. I still eat the fries, but I don't get double fries. So for me, I think about the mindful eating. I think about what my food tastes like.
Right.
Not rushing through it, because I became so in this habit of eating really fast, because I need, even when I'm not working, I'm eating fast, because I was conditioned to do that. Now stop, slow down. What does your food smell like? What does your
Right.
food taste like? What is the texture? What
Mhm.
does it remind you of, those memories? Like whenever I eat peaches, I instantly think about peach cobbler. Think about how my granny used to make peach cobbler, things like that. So for me, I really focus on that mindful eating. And Erica, like you said, I don't always eat breakfast, but now I make it a habit to say I'm going to get in my plant-based smoothie, my plant-based shake, or I'm going to grab one of those plant-based bars and head out. So really being mindful of what I'm eating, how often I'm eating, and not depriving myself. I think sometimes we get caught up on depriving ourselves, and it sends your body into shock. So when your body thinks, "Oh, I'm starving," so it holds on to that fat reserve. And I tell my children, I'm gonna tell y'all ladies, I still got baby fat around my stomach, okay? And I tell my son's like, "Mama, that's not baby fat. I'm 28. That's your fat." So I have to release that, okay? I got to release that. But I had to really begin to understand it's mindful. Be mindful of what you're eating. Stay mindfully present when you're eating, and you'll realize that you're not gorging yourself, because
Right.
then you're listening to your mind say, "I'm full," and you cut it off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not always eating while I'm watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, because you want to binge on Netflix. Sometimes you want to eat. And before you know it, you've eaten a whole bag of Doritos.
Mm.
Not that you were hungry, but I'm watching TV and I'm so just for me, I've really taken the notion to be more mindful when I eat, and be mindfully present during that time.
Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. I love that you mentioned mindful eating. That's something that I have been pushing for one myself to do better about, but even my colleagues, because we on the go all the time. And y'all seen it. We're on the go, 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 go. And I've told this very week, one of my colleagues is saying, I'm going to grab some food and I'm gonna sit here and do this assignment that she needs to do while eating. I said, no, ma'am. Not
Okay.
if don't let me catch you doing that.
So, yes, I do have something to say about that. So, were you implying that she was eating at her desk?
She was eating at her desk while working.
Yes. So talking about that well space and
Mhm.
step away from work at the time. So we talk about mindfulness, being intentional and being mindful about where and how you spend your time, because
Mhm.
you want to savor your food. You
Yeah.
want to make sure that you enjoy your food. You want to make sure that you have that time because it's precious. Like
Mhm.
you talked about as an educator, both of you all, it's short. Um, don't have a lot of time to enjoy your food. And I just happened to see a teacher this past week, and they were scarfing down their food, and like they rushed back to class. It's just one of those things where what happens as a result of that. So
Mhm.
now you have to think about indigestion. You have to
Mhm.
think about acid reflux. You have
Mhm.
about, okay, well, the stress, the mental stress that you're putting on your body, because now you're rushing through it. So again, you're right. You have to be mindful and intentional about what it is that you're doing and what it is you're eating and how you're eating your food.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep, I legit told her. I was like, "No, ma'am, you're not
Mhm.
doing that. Eat first, work second. The work is gonna be there because now you can't even, like you mentioned, enjoy your food, but let alone concentrate on what you're doing because you're trying to make sure you don't get the sauce on the computer."
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
I had to, I think I became more mindful in my eating during COVID. Like COVID was unlocked a lot of things for me. It showed me, or the COVID's still around, but the pandemic, the
Mhm.
extended
Mhm.
break that we didn't know we was gonna get, unlocked a lot of things for me personally. It made me realize that I personally was just very, very burned out. And I did not know it because I did not stop to feel it. I was
Mhm.
also coming out of a huge battle of depression due to grief of losing my grandfather. And for those of my followers who are on here, y'all have heard that story many times, and which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this mental matter session, because no one knew that I was depressed. No one knew, and it was bad. It was real bad. Like it started to manifest in my body in all type of different
Mhm.
ways, like swelling up. And I was
Mhm.
like, wait, this has never happened before. Oh my gosh, why is my wrist swelling or my leg?
Yep.
It was very interesting. I stayed sick a lot, and part of it was due to not eating properly, resting, sleeping, all the other things that we've mentioned. So I had, when COVID hit and the world stopped, I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? Whew, I can sleep, I can breathe, I can go outside, get a little sun, even though I'm still working. But what I also caught myself doing was, and we had a half a day. We only talked from 8 to 12:30 virtually, right? I was still working through my lunch. I will
Mhm.
work right through it.
Mhm.
I know it's five
Yep.
o'clock, and now
Yep.
I'm like, I'm starving. And my husband was also working from home. He was like, "Why are you so hungry so early?" Dang, I didn't eat.
Mm.
So I legitimately set a time. I set a timer in my phone to eat so I could stop. Because as a person who also is neurodivergent, I have ADHD. When I get hyper focused on something, I'm there.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get me out of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just need to finish this. But that I finished that and then go on to something else, right?
Mhm.
So I personally had to put in extra measures to remind myself to eat, to remind myself to drink water, remind myself, like physical reminders. Like some of y'all, you might have to do it. You might have to do it if there's you, but do it to make sure that you're healthy. Now I'm at a better space of I'm actually eating breakfast.
Good.
It's usually at work, it might be 10 versus the 8, but it's done.
Yeah.
It's before 2 o'clock.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
even at night, my husband and I, we try to our best to eat before 7. Just those little bitty nuances that have like helped. I can feel the difference personally of like just being more mindful. I get on his nerves when he eats standing up. I'm like, go sit down.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't stand it. But my grandfather also did that to me too. He was like, never eat standing up, never eat while driving if you can help it. You need to sit down and eat your food.
Yeah.
So that's something that has not locked in my head all the time. I hear his voice
Mhm.
all the time as like I'm on the go and I might stop at Wendy's. Nope. Stop, sit in the parking lot and finish your food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enjoy it. So I
Yeah.
do that more now. Than unless there are times where you got to eat and drive. There are times I try not to do that though. So thank y'all for definitely touching bases on how healthy eating has supported your mental health. Oh my goodness. Yes. So are there any, we talked about veggies. I didn't never thought to eat veggies for breakfast. I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Putting that in my own strategy bank. But what are some other strategies that people could do to incorporate more healthy eating? We got mindfulness, mindful eating. We have eating veggies for breakfast, even if it's a smoothie. What else? What else do we have? Because I'm gonna take notes.
Well, I did want to add something to what you said
Yeah.
about how things started manifesting in your body, because I am experiencing that now
Mhm.
and did not realize what it was. So everybody knows I love working out. That is a part of my that's my thing. 3 to 5 times, always going to the gym. Well, the month of April had a back injury.
Mm.
Took me out. Bulging disc, some things going on with my L1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yes. So I'm with a phenomenal chiropractor.
Mhm.
She is amazing. She did 3 different scans on my body. She looked at my skeletal system,
Mhm.
she looked at my nervous system, and she looked at my muscular system. I
Mhm.
was like, girl, my back is hurting. Well, you don't need to know about my nerves and all that. She said, no. She said, sometimes we look at surface, what we can see, but we don't look at what we can't see. So she
Mhm.
asked me, she said, Satara, what are you stressed about? I'm like, girl, I'm not stressed.
Mhm.
I'm not working the job I was working before. I work with a phenomenal
Mhm.
nonprofit organization. My business is thriving. I'm not stressed. And she said, well, guess what? Your body has kept score.
Mm.
What?
Woo!
She said, your body keeps score of trauma.
Yes.
So what I learned was not only do we suffer from emotional trauma,
Mhm.
physical trauma, we can suffer from nutritional trauma.
Yes.
Okay. We can say that for something else, but she told me, she said, your body has kept score and your body is in a fight or flight.
Mhm.
She said, even though you're no longer stressed from the job you were in, she
Mhm.
said, you're doing well, you feel well. She said, your muscles say otherwise. Your nervous system says otherwise. She said, no, you didn't blow your back out from a kettlebell lift. She said, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. She said, your body has been under stress for so long and it started manifesting other things,
Mhm.
hormone problems, digestion problems. You
Mm.
mentioned inflammation, which is a silent killer for most of
Mhm.
us. Inflammation. It's like, why my ankles swelling? I don't have problems with my ankles. Why my wrist hurt? I started feeling all these things in my joints. And she said, that is a manifestation of
Yes.
your body keeping score. And your body is saying, no more. I'm
Yep.
tired of fighting back and forth. So
Mhm.
now I'm starting to learn more,
Mhm.
really understanding how our bodies keep score and it manifests its ways in dis-ease, inflammation, all these things. So I want to touch base on that because I think a lot of people don't understand. It's what you can't see
Right.
that's
Mhm. Mhm.
really affecting us so much. So I want to just jump in and throw that in there. So your body's keeping score. Listen to your body.
Agree, agree, and I love that you brought that back up because as a dancer myself, I realized that I got away from being inside of my body.
Mhm.
Right? Like we as a dancer, you're always like very in tune and feeling the things, when something out of whack. But because I kind of got away from, doing my daily activities of my yogas and all of that and stretching and just being in my body, I didn't realize it until I had to stop, right? That there was a disconnect, mind, body, spirit, all of that. Like that's a very real thing that a lot of people don't want to talk about. A lot of people think it's all about religion. No, legitimately, mind, body, spirit connection. Like it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It has to be connected. And so as the when that started to happen, mind you, I mentioned I was going through like some heavy grief at the time and did not know how to process it, didn't talk about it. Should have went to therapy then versus 2 years later. But I didn't know what I was feeling. I just knew that I was not okay.
Mhm.
Mentally, of course, but when my fingers start to swell, like my middle finger just started to swell.
Yep.
I'm like, what is this? I can't bend
Right.
it. This is weird. I've never experienced that. I was on the school bus with the kids when my wrist started to swell, and I was like, wait, did I get bit? Did a mosquito bite me? What is going on? I stayed sick the entire school year. I hadn't had strep throat since I was 6 years old, 6 or 8 years old. I got strep throat that year, and I was like, "What the crap is this? Like, this is weird." Strep throat, horrible sinus infections. It
Mhm.
was weird. Like, I had never experienced my body being out of whack like that.
Yeah.
And so I did go to the chiropractor. Shout out to Stronghold Health. I love them. And I learned a lot of things about inflammation, how it happens and sits in your body, right? I learned more about the lymphatic system. And because I love all things body, all things dance, I'm like, oh, okay, tell me more. This is interesting. But going that extra mile and getting someone else to look at me and not
Mhm.
try to figure it out by myself was
Mhm.
the journey to my healing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now, being here with you ladies, I'm learning more about, okay, let me add this extra layer. I might need a consultation with my girls on here because woo wee, I got this other layer I need to work on too. So yes. So I heard a definite strategy of like go see somebody, go see the doctor and a chiropractor because all things
Yes.
are aligned with that spine there. The spine will tell on you.
Yes.
It's yeah. Yes. But any other strategies that you ladies would love to share for us to do better by taking care of our whole self? That could be healthy eating or not.
Okay, so Satara talked about grace before,
Mm-hmm.
but can we just really break that down?
Yes. Go for
Um,
it.
Yes.
you definitely want to be able to do that. Healthy heat. Most people focus on weight loss, weight management, weight gain, caloric intake. You know, am I going to the fast food drive-through? Did I eat today?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a real thing. Did I?
Mhm.
I've talked to several women who by 6 o'clock they're wondering and they can't figure out, they can't remember what they ate, what time they ate, or if they did eat that day. So giving yourself the grace to be able to know that, you don't have it all together.
Mm-hmm.
You are enough. Um,
Mm.
you gain weight and there is a goal. Let the goal be about being healthy from the inside.
Ooh.
If your idea of losing X amount of pounds, you have an ideal weight that you want to be, give yourself that time because I'm pretty sure it didn't take 2 days or 2 months for you to gain the weight. It's definitely not going to be something that happens overnight for you to lose it. Give yourself that grace. If you go to the fast food restaurant maybe one last time a week, then okay, that's a victory for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you are able to cook more and you talked about eating before a certain time, like if your schedule doesn't permit you to be able to, everybody doesn't have the same working schedule.
Right.
So
Right.
maybe, you're not able to get your last meal of the day in before, 7 or 8 o'clock.
Mhm.
But just be mindful and give yourself that grace in that time to be able to understand that, okay, nothing is going to happen overnight. Be able to give yourself the grace to work at it, because if you're wanting and you're willing to achieve the goals that you set forth for yourself, which should ultimately be a healthier person, a whole person, then
Mm-hmm.
those little incremental steps that you are taking will be improved to be excuse me, victorious for you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
agree.
Add to that.
Go ahead,
When
girl.
you mentioned the scale, I will admit that I was obsessed with the scale,
please don't.
getting on the scale, but I don't do that anymore.
Right.
I count non-scale victories, right? Those
Mhm.
non-scale victories. I start to see how the seatbelt come across my stomach now. I'm like, oh, okay. How your pants fit, how I feel, my
Yes.
my brain clarity. I used to have such brain fog. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness, why can't I remember the simplest things? Like for real, going downstairs to the refrigerator, then like, what did I come down here for? It was real. It was real until I started, the nutritional things. So I want to say, count the non-scale victories. Think
Mm-hmm.
about how you feel. Think about how your clothes fit, because sometimes the scale will lie on you.
Sure
And
will.
but those inches are falling off, you're feeling better, you're sleeping better, your joints are moving better. So I tell people that. And the other thing I did, this is a little strategy, a tip for those ladies, and I tell women, it doesn't matter your size, right? Sometimes we can be real thin, but we unhealthy.
Right.
Sometimes we have a little bit more meat on our bones, and people are like, "Ooh, but you can be still in a healthy state, right?"
Mhm.
So I
Right.
tell people that don't always think that if you're thin, you're healthy. If you're a little bit more chunky, then you're not healthy. We really have to take those labels off.
Mm.
Society has put those labels on us. So I say, take the labels off. And then the other thing, I'm rocking my waist beads. Shout
And
out to my zero for beads. Okay.
recipes.
I wear those and it tells me, it lets me know. Like
Exactly.
this whole time, I haven't been able to exercise. I've been doing a little bit more qigong and walking and things like that. But what I realized was my waist beads were starting to slide. So that
Yeah.
was like a non-scale victory that let me know, even though you're not able to move as much as you normally would, any movement is better than no movement.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Any movement. I tell people that you don't have to full out exercise. People are like, oh, Satara, you in the gym? No, you don't have to do what Satara does or what Erica does. Do what your body can do, but move. You need to be moving. Focus on that nutrition, focus on that hydration, focus on that movement and that sleep.
Yes.
Get some sleep. Your body needs to go into a resting state to digest all that food and process and get all that food that you ate from the day.
Yes.
And this is what I'm gonna say, and I'm not gonna even say it's TMI, but if you eating 3 meals a day, you need to be pooping.
Agree.
Okay, I'm just gonna put it out there. Sometimes we don't want to talk about it,
Yeah,
but
let's go.
you need to be releasing and going to that bathroom. If
Mhm.
you're not, your digestion, your nutrition, something's off. Now,
Right.
Miss Erica, you may be able to speak a little bit more deeper on that, but I think you know where I'm coming from on that one.
Absolutely. And you just thought that last point though that you talked about with movement. So if you are sitting in, most people they work from home.
Mhm.
A lot of people they're sitting. So if you're in a sedentary position all day long and you're talking about all of this food that you're eating, 3 meals is the minimum. I work with people and I've talked to people every day that say, five, the average is 5 meals a day. So even if you're snacking and you're not moving, where is the food going to go?
Right
It
there.
stimulates like that movement stimulates
Yes.
all of that to move out of your body for digestive purposes. Like I
Mhm.
said, it will help you receive, like you talked about mental clarity.
Mhm.
You're not going to have any of those benefits if you're not moving your
Yes.
body.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely that. And since we are women and we're gonna talk about it because we all grown, ladies, all the ladies that are watching and listening, during our menses time, be careful about what it is that you eat. Yes, them cravings be hitting so strong. They be, ooh, that chocolate be tasting real good. Don't binge. And this is just something I've shared with my younger cousins and whatnot. Just like, you will feel better if you're not going in on this chocolate and the chips and all the things.
Mhm.
Sometimes I have to remind myself too, like, Zaxby fries, no 2 scoops today.
Don't do it.
But once I started to do more research about that and how the different foods affect that time, your mental wellness, your brain fog, and all of that,
Mhm.
I started to do things differently because I was like, yo, this crap hurts. And again, people who are watching my page, we all grown. These
Yeah.
cramps hurt. Oh, that's because you ate all these gummy worms.
Mhm.
2 bags of gummy worms. No, man, don't do that. Drink more water. So I just wanted to, since we were just talking about like how it manifests, lack of eating or eating incorrectly manifests in our bodies and how we should be moving things out, we definitely had to address that piece of, because a lot of women just don't know or haven't been taught about how do we truly take care of our bodies in some of the most vulnerable times, which is our menstrual times or pregnancy
Mhm.
or just any time, but definitely those 2 times because your body's doing some crazy things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So definitely to touch on both of those, the fact that I have a 13-month-old, I can speak to the fact that I have a 13-month-old and a 13-year-old, both girls. And just knowing that because I had issues in my pregnancy and even afterwards, just knowing that my body had to bounce back. I had to eat differently. I had to think differently. I had to move differently. And I had to think about that in a, like I said, holistic from head to toe. How is what I'm putting in my body? How is that affecting me? How is that affecting my child and those around me? During those, specifically when those times come around, I don't currently have a cycle, but when I did, it was one of those things where you do have to be mindful about what it is that you're eating. You have to stay away from the foods that are, greasy foods, fried foods, those things that add to the inflammation, the sugary sweet items. Yes, I love bread. Yes, I love baked items, baked goods, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to be mindful about how are you eating those things? How often are you eating those things? In moderation. We talked about not depriving yourself of those things. Okay, you don't have to deprive yourself. If you want gummy bears or gummy worms, then yes, have those, have a handful, but be mindful about making sure how much you do have.
Yes.
Like I said, and not just physically, where you're thinking about, cramps per se, but your
Mhm.
during that. The sugar will, in fact, add to or heighten your sense of anxiety. It
Mhm.
will, in fact, because we're not talking about the foods that affect those,
Yes.
or that help those things, but sugary sweet items can, like I said, it can spike your blood sugar. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
about, okay, well, why is my mood changing? You're talking about hormone effects. How does the sugar and all those other things that you're eating at this point, how does it affect your hormones? Okay, why am I upset right now and 10 minutes ago I was happy? You have to think about what is it that you're ingesting, what is it that you're eating and you're taking in, and how that affects how you feel.
Wow. There's definitely a food mood connection.
Yes.
And I've had that conversation with some of the parents of the children, my little preschoolers.
Mm.
I would let them know some of the food that you're sending them to school with is affecting their mood. It's affecting their ability to sustain attention. And then what happens is our children get diagnosed with so many things. I'm like, no, no, no. The only thing he has is nutrition depletion. He's
Mm.
not getting the food to fuel his little mind. And so when he's bouncing off the wall, because he came in with some hot Takis and some fruit punch,
Whew.
you wonder why he bouncing off the walls.
Right.
Ma'am, did you realize you just loaded him? He had a sugar, and then before lunch, he's done.
Right.
He's done.
Agree, agree. So Jamila says, "Oh my gosh, I told one parent, please stop giving them soda." And then she also said, "Who doesn't like breakfast?" All of that. It burns my gears when I see children with hot chips as breakfast. And I'm like, wait, your stomach lining. Oh my gosh. I mean, I do eat hot chips, but it's very sparingly. But not for breakfast every day.
Mm. Mm. So that's a soapbox that I will get off, but just to be able to know that again, you're taking incremental steps. You're
Mhm.
making those small changes. So even just putting that inspiration to them, and you're talking to them, you're having this conversation with these students. Maybe just engage them and say, ask why. Why is
Mhm.
it that you like to eat this? Is it the taste? Is it just the sensation of the texture? Maybe it's the crunch of it. Maybe it's the sensation that they receive from the spice. There's other ways to do that. If you need the capsaicin, which actually does help with your joints and help you to heal and help decrease inflammation, if there's a way to substitute that, which there are, you can find a way to have that conversation with the children, have a conversation with the adult, whoever you're talking with, so that they there's a healthier alternative. I know I have nephews that love Takis. My daughter doesn't eat them, but she has classmates that do. And that's just because she personally has never liked them herself. But there's other things that
Mhm.
she does like. So what I'm
Mhm.
saying is you can find alternatives, but just starting the dialogue with the student, starting the dialogue with the teacher or that parent, it opens it up for all these possibilities to allow them to eat healthier.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Anything else that you ladies would love to add to this beautiful conversation? Woo. I thank y'all so much for showing up, showing out. Like, we gotta do this again. We'll have to take this thing on tour or something. This was amazing. Like, I know if I've learned all the things that I've learned and wrote down on my paper, I can only imagine what the cultivated peeps are listening to and learning and gathering to take back to their respective places. Like, I'm
Mhm.
excited. So, what's coming up for you, ladies, and where can we find you? So, what's coming up? Tell us about that first.
Well, I will say coming up for me, I'm actually getting to go back into the school district I work for, and I've been invited to share space with my fellow educators and help them learn to pack their bags, speak on wellness, which is big for me because I recognize I have so many educators who are still there doing the work and giving them a space to advocate. So that's coming up for me. I'm excited about that. You can find me. I mean, my name, Setara to Throw. There's not very many names like that. So you can find me on Facebook under Setara to Throw. You can follow my business page, Setara to Throw, the Rising Lotus Coach. And then my IG is I am Setara, the Rising Lotus Coach. So follow me, get more nuggets, ask me questions. I just want to be someone who can just fill that space and create the well space with you.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. What about you, Miss Erica?
Again, my name is Erica Moore. You can find me on Facebook at Erica Baker Moore. That's my personal page. I usually post all of my confections, all of my cooked items, my menus that I do because I am a personal chef and nutritionist. I'm an educator in the classroom, so you can look for me on Who Spilled the Veggies Co. at on IG, and you can look at whospilltheveggies.com for any information that you may need. I teach cooking classes, nutrition education classes, both for adults and children. And I am so thankful to be a part of this panel, to be able to serve you. And I appreciate you all with all of the wholeness and the wellness that you all have and what you bring to the table.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. So before we turn it off and we release ourselves back into our beds and couches, just wanted to give all of our amazing peeps a chance to see what's upcoming next Sunday, and that'll be the last episode, might as well say episode, of our Mental Matters live series. It'll be with my good sister Santasha Comer, licensed mental health professional, talking about mental wellness and wholeness practices. And we've been getting a lot this go around, you guys. We've been getting a whole lot this month. So make sure y'all take it back and watch all the things we had planning. We had healthy eating. We talked about music and ministry, Black men in education. Like, we went ham this month, and it's been fun. So we definitely want to keep this thing going. But check us out next Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And in the meantime, stay creative, stay productive. We love you. Thank